you see this with mainstream media too, right? So again, it's like what we were talking about at the beginning, this sort of institutional inertia. You see the New York Times, for example, running all kinds of ads all the time for fossil fuel corporations, which I think causes them to be more biased in their reporting. And so I don't feel like they typically, even the New York Times doesn't typically tell the whole truth about climate change when they're reporting on, for example, a devastating flood. They don't typically say the reason this is happening is because the planet's getting hotter. The reason the planet's getting hotter is because of the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry has been intentionally blocking action, which is why we're in this predicament, which is going to get much worse, right? So I always say there's three really key parts to any climate change disaster story, which typically get left out by journalists, even for such institutions, such respected institutions like the New York Times. Those three things are: this is caused by the fossil fuel industry. Mm-hmm. The fossil fuel industry has been lying for decades and blocking action intentionally, right? Which is part of the story. That's why that's a big part of why this disaster just happened.
Full context, yes.
Right. Yeah. Say there's a huge hurricane that wipes out a city. Like, the reader's going to want to know why. And the article doesn't even talk about fossil fuels, doesn't talk about the fact that the fossil fuel industry has been lying and blocking action, which is, maybe if they hadn't been lying and blocking action, that hurricane would not have happened, right? And then the third thing that they typically don't say, sometimes they do say this third thing, but they need to let readers know, let the public know that this is going to get worse and worse, obviously, until we stop burning fossil fuels. And I want your listeners to know that, and I don't think this is well appreciated by the public, that when you burn fossil fuels, you can think of it as like a ratchet. Like, every little bit that you burn, every chunk of coal, every gallon of gas, it's like a little ratchet making the planet a tiny bit hotter, effectively permanently, right? So however hot the planet gets is pretty much how hot it's going to stay to first order. And the more, as we burn more and more fossil fuel, that temperature is going to go up. So it's not a question of reducing our fossil fuel use. It's a question of ending it completely, right? Which is why this is such a hard problem.
Yeah.
And the last thing your prompt made me think of is that, it's very hard to see right now how we're going to get strong laws in the near future from Congress in the United States that will directly do things to transition us away from fossil fuels and towards, say, electric powered vehicles and other alternatives